Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the General College Podcast. I'm Samantha Hines, your little co-host today, and I'm here with three students from UNC Chapel Hill. We're going to be talking about creativity today and how it's existed during the pandemic, and also, looking forward, like what how are things going to be different now, and how has this experience changed the way like we make things and the way that we like express our creativity. So if everyone wants to like introduce themselves, just give your name and year. So I'm Samantha Hines and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Jamie Collier, and I am a junior.
Brandon McKeegy, and I am a junior.
I'm Sasha Ursel, and I'm a sophomore.
Wonderful. So actually, so I'm gonna pose a question to you now because we have a special question from the audience, from our dear audience member, Chris O'Cana. So he wanted to ask us, what's something that we've made recently that we're proud of, or that we've done recently that we're proud of. So we'll talk about that later in the episode, so I don't put you guys on the spot. But I just wanted to pose that so you could start thinking about it.
We miss you, Chris.
To start, we're just going to talk about like creativity. If anyone wants to talk about like the things that they do, that they like make and create, and how that changed during the pandemic. I can start if that's easiest. I know like a lot of what I was learning to do as a media production major was like use like equipment and like do like visual storytelling. And a lot of that I kind of wasn't able to do as much without like the equipment that UNC had. So kind of just like learning how to try and make things without like fancy equipment, which I guess, is still a good thing, a good thing to try and learn. But it's also like, there's like a little less guidance and a little less like structure in like what you should be doing to make things, which I think can be like weird when you're like going into school to learn about something, or you're in a club to make things. I feel like we're used to a lot of structure, and I feel like it was a bit strange to suddenly not have that structure.
Yeah, I totally agree. I took a couple communications classes last semester, and in one of them, I was kind of creating like um, it's kind of like, I don't know. I basically you're supposed to come up with this idea that, and my idea was like more in the psychedelic kind of realm. So, I think it's supposed to be, the prompt was like based on a feeling or something. So mine was, I think, how we felt about the pandemic, and mine was kind of like the loneliness that some people can feel. I know myself, especially since even though I think I'm an introvert, like I definitely miss some social interactions with people on campus. So that part in itself, with not being able to work with other people on this project, sucked. But then just like having to make do with my own equipment, and like basically each lesson had like two different versions, like this is for the people who have this stuff and this is for the people who have nothing, basically. So basically just trying to learn both a makeshift kind of way to do stuff, but also a way to do stuff if you do have like the proper technology and stuff. So it was kind of more of a free for all, at least in my classes, as far as like what you wanted to do, which I did appreciate, but at the same time, having some kind of structure where we get to learn things that would be useful for us, and like in it, at least for me, like in an entertainment industry or something, that would have been cool. But what about you guys?
So I'd say the pandemic. So as someone who like my preferred like form of like artistic expression and creation is through music. And so like I just love like singing, playing, and everything. But I found like before the pandemic, it was just like really hard to like juggle or like balance that because like I'm not like a music major or minor, and so like it's like really hard to like practice, and it's really hard to play when you like aren't like really studying like music and like music theory
Mhm.
and where like everything comes from. And so, but over the pandemic, like I just like I feel like I grew like a lot deeper and attached just because like I had nothing else to do but like stay in my room and like either listen to music or like play music on my guitar. And so like I feel like having that like personal space and having that like alone space that the pandemic brought, like really brought like the idea of like tapping into my creative mindset a lot more. So I feel like when you're like isolated and like solitary, you really, you find the things that you enjoy even more, and you kind of like find those like creative outlets because like you're just constantly like in your thoughts and like wrapped in your thoughts and like wrapped in your brain. And I have music like brain and mind, and so like it's I I see the pandemic and like what happened is like not even a negative experience for myself, but I don't know, it was mixed feelings for a lot of people. But I think like I never would have had like this time just really like just be like one with like music and like artistic and learn that way like different styles of art and learn like these people have like different styles and like different ways of like expressing themselves, and like you're eventually just trying to find like your own kind of like unique style, like your unique rhythm. And I think it takes like a lot of thought to do that, which is why like post pandemic, I'm just like really excited to see like people's creative spaces that they like made and they've like kind of like figured out, but in more like interpersonal ways. So I feel like I connect with people a lot through art, and so I'm really excited to see that.
That's awesome.
I feel like at the beginning of the pandemic, for me, it was like I was able to have more time for more creative outlets, because I think that was
Mhm.
like I also not knowing how the pandemic was going to be, especially how it compared to how it is now, which even though it's getting better, definitely a whole different terrain than how it started out. I thought, oh, this is like perfect time since I'm going to be in all the time to like be able to pick up some stuff. Like I used to be really big into embroidering. That was like a huge creative outlet for me that I only picked up like the previous semester. And I also had other things that I had done before, like doing makeup is another huge like creative outlet for me. And so at the beginning of the pandemic, it like kind of picked up for a bit, and then as things kept continuing to get more serious, it kind of fell off. And part of that was probably due to just not being used to like the situation with the pandemic. And I feel like that also kind of affected how I managed my time personally. But at the same time, as like times went over, I felt like I needed a way to like be able to do something for myself, but also still keep the creative juices flowing. So I
Mhm.
kind of hopped between creative, like little creative outlets. I would do drawing one day, I'd do dance another day. I tried sewing again. I tried doing embroidery, but then I lost my needle, so I haven't done that since, unfortunately.
Mm.
So there's been like a lot of hopping because I haven't, at the time, at least, there wasn't much that I felt like I could stick to that felt satisfactory. So in order to like keep my brain also going during the time, that's kind of how I adapted to it. But recently, I feel like I've been leaning more towards like most of my creativity comes from honestly similar to Brandon, just like having music. But for me, it's more of like, weirdly enough, creating certain types of Spotify playlists and kind of analyzing music. Because
Mm.
sometimes when I listen to music, I always like to find a different way to listen to it. It's a little bit weird, but there's so much even that you can hear in one song that you don't notice when you like hear it the first time, or even if you've heard it 1,000 times. And sometimes that just makes me think about like kind of nuances, and kind of in a way it inspires me to think differently about the world too. So I find that as a creative outlet for me, of just like making playlists of certain types of songs that I want to be able to hear, and seeing how they can connect, even if most people may not think they connect. But after hearing it in different ways, just making that connection and kind of like making a story out of it. And also I've been picking back up on makeup too, because I feel like after not doing it for so long, I've also been knowing that it's like a passion of mine. I've kind of been forcing myself to pick it back up, because I'd say art, like makeup is art in itself too. Like
Yeah,
not many
absolutely.
people think of it like that, but there's a lot that you can do with makeup, and it's very stress relieving too. So
Yep,
I
I
think
have seen whole people's faces transform using makeup, so it is definitely an art form. But I definitely agree with the both of you. I think something else that you guys might have touched on, but just didn't explicitly mention, as I think for me, or actually I think for a lot of people, we kind of had like a pandemic depression, especially during the school year, where it's just like you're doing, at least for me, I was taking communication classes, which are something that I was really looking forward to taking. But at some point during the year, I just kind of became like unmotivated and not necessarily asking like, why am I doing this? But it's just like, it's just not the same. And I don't know if I'm going to get as much out of this as I could have if I was in person. So yeah, it's kind of brought, I guess, more laziness than depression, because I definitely wasn't doing as much creative stuff as I could have, and I was more like absorbing creative material instead of like putting it out. But I think in the long run, it kind of helped me get inspired by new ideas and new things that I've never seen before. I don't watch a whole lot of like live action shows, but I was able to like branch out and watch like a whole bunch of different stuff. So just after I got over my laziness, I was able to produce some things that I never would have produced before, or think about it in a different way at least.
I definitely like I definitely like agree with a lot of the points that you said about like that like pre kind of not pre but like during the pandemic, that like depression in a sense, that just like turns into apathy. I think that's what like initially, like as I was learning a lot more chords and everything, and as they got like progressively harder, I just like that apathy like really developed because you're just like, man, like like I'm not getting this. So just like the state of the world today, you're just like
Mm-hmm.
constantly thinking, like what's when you're like thinking about like what's happening like next and all of that. I feel like for like a moment there, you kind of like become detached from like your art in a sense. But I think like when I started like changing my mindset that like art is like a therapeutic thing, which of course like you learn by like doing. I think
Mm-hmm.
like it just like you have to like see it like incrementally and know that like every next, like ev- every iteration of you like tapping into that creative mindset is like a journey, and so like even if you like can only like commit like 5 minutes today or like 10 minutes tomorrow, like it's not about like the time, it's not about like how you're feeling, it's just like picking up, getting started, and doing it. And so like and over time you just like build like that, not only that like passion for it, but really like learn how it helps you. And so like I just like have learned not to like knock myself up over like like how much like time I'm really committing to like my art, because like like art's not meant to like have a time or like have
Mm-hmm.
just like a quantity to it, so it's about like when it feels right and like the moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely think I have this like idea in my head of like what creativity is supposed to look like, and like how much work I should be putting in every day, and like the kinds of like goals and things that I should be achieving. And like, but like looking back at the things that I did make and that I did do that I'm proud of, like that whole process is like cut up between like me like not being productive and like not feeling great and like just weird spots mentally during the pandemic, like, but I only really remember like the exciting parts of it, and like but like it's I think like it's been nice to just like have time to just like sit with projects and kind of creative things for a little bit, with no expectations of like this has to get done, or like, and
Mm-hmm.
also like kind of separated a little bit from other people, because I think especially like being in like kind of a creative like major sort of, there's kind of like this pressure of like, oh, well, this is what everyone else is doing. So like I have to do something that's
Yeah.
just as interesting.
Mhm.
And that just like stops me, you know, like I just can't like, you know, because then I get too much in my head and I'm thinking about what other people want to see and like, and I don't actually make anything that I like. So I do think one thing that I really liked about kind of being alone for a while was that like I just wasn't comparing myself to other people as much. But on the other hand, also a kind of struggle is that you're also not surrounded by other people who are like making stuff and having fun and like having hobbies that, you know, inspire you, you know. I mean, you can like still communicate obviously, but you know, it's just different being right by a bunch of people who are doing these kinds of things. In the same way that it can be like stressful, I think it can be equally like inspiring and exciting to see what other people are doing. And I do think it's
Yeah.
been really exciting, like kind of seeing what people have done over the pandemic, and seeing how people have changed and how like that's affected what they're making and what they're like, where their kind of like trajectory is going when it comes to like their life. Because like even speaking of it, like not about like careers, like I feel like lots of like hobbies people have brought into their lives have changed a lot of people, you know. I think it's like it's really exciting to have something like a creative outlet, like a new creative outlet that has no pressure of like being something that like, you know, you have to make money off of, you know.
Yeah.
There's something really nice about, you know, just being able to do stuff and feel like creative.
And I think the other thing is like because we're not comparing ourselves to like our classmates or whatever, or maybe even like people on the internet that we frequently watch, like we were able to develop like our own kind of distinct voice, or at least get in the stages of trying to do that. It's because I feel like a lot of people, even including myself, like to follow like trends and stuff, which is cool, but being able to like interpret that trend and like do it your own way, I think is better and like the ultimate goal for people who are like creatively driven. So having that space where you can really, you're just working with stuff that's coming from your head, or you get inspired by something and you're like, let me manipulate this so I can have my own like little twist or like flavor on it. I think that's been something that at least for me during the pandemic I've really been able to get into.
Where would you guys say you get most of your inspirations from?
Believe it or not, Sasha, I'm actually a fellow like Spotify playlister. Like they're just my favorite thing to do in the world. Just like making like stories through playlists. That's like really where I get like my motivation for like what I want to play, like the styles that I want to play. I really like to find myself like through my playlist, like seeing how songs come together. And so like just like music really, like my playlist really I think dictate a lot of like my like musical like art like creative direction, just because like I feel like I become close to like artists that way and like really see like their unique styles like every time I like hear a song back, you know. Kind of like you said, like you can really hear songs like differently like every time you listen to them. I think that's like what the power of playlist does for me as a musician especially.
I think for me, oh, my dad asked me if I want something from Chick-fil-A. I do, but I won't respond right now. I think
Chick-fil-A
for me,
snacks, bro.
I know, I'm low key. I'm like, maybe I should respond right now because I might miss my chance. But I'll answer my question first.
Dude, look, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like low key, like,
Look, I can
but
go. This is an emergency.
uh, yeah, you go ahead. I'm gonna answer this real quick.
Um, yeah, I think the playlist thing is really interesting. Like that's not something I do a lot, but that's like sounds like a really exciting and interesting thing. I think I probably get like most of my inspiration from like consuming other content and like reading things and watching things, which is kind of vague, but you know, I think when I see kind of the things that I gravitate towards and the things that I enjoy watching, like, and when I, you know, watch it or read it a lot, like I can start to like pinpoint what I actually like about things, and kind of see how I can do those kinds of things. And I also think like just like to sound as pretentious and dramatic as possible, like feeling things, you know, like going through like emotions and stuff, I think is just really inspiring to me, you know, and like trying to like express those in like a different way. That's so dramatic, but you know, I think you know what I mean, you know, like it's important to like share, you know, use your own experiences, because you know those things just will, if it's real for you, you know, it'll feel real to other people, I think. All right, is the Chick-fil-A emergency over?
Yes, I've put my order in.
Okay, good.
But I think I get a lot of my inspiration from honestly YouTube. I watch like way too much YouTube, but I think that it's kind of interesting because I feel like even now YouTube has kind of been in some ways like innovative in the way that we do entertainment, and even in the way that some people edit, because some people actually go from YouTube into like a more professional like kind of company or business. So I think one of the things that's definitely been like inspirational to me is like video essays, because I like to talk a lot about different topics. So I'm like, why would I not do a video essay? So I the first one I did, I definitely had like inspiration from people who were doing video essays about Into the Spider-Verse, because I really just wanted to hear other people's opinions and just like the analysis and the little Easter eggs and everything. I find that stuff to be like super interesting. So I think in that way, that inspiration kind of helped me discover like a whole different side of like entertainment and the things I enjoy about entertainment and like the little Easter eggs and stuff. Like I definitely wasn't a huge Easter egg person until probably this past year.
YouTube ads though, not it. No.
Oh my, okay. I need to do a little rant on these freaking YouTube ads. So I did an experiment one day. I was working out, had my phone plugged in. I was playing a podcast on YouTube, and there was an ad going by. I'm like, you know what? Ads are usually like 30 seconds, maybe even up to 2 minutes if they're really that long, which they go even longer. Trust me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna get up, go change, go turn off the ad. I'll just let it play. That 1 to 2 ads thing is an absolute lie, because they will just keep playing ads until you click skip. I'm like, what the hell, YouTube? Like, I just made this person probably $5 from listening to like 10 minutes of ads. Like, oh my god, it was crazy. So yeah, my advice to everybody out there is if you're watching something and you actually want to see the video, skip the ads.
Wise advice.
Wise, yeah.
Yeah,
Or get
that's
an
a
ad
lot.
blocker, but YouTube is also cracking down on that. So
Mhm.
Ooh, I didn't even
Can't
know
wait.
that. Dang.
can't wait.
Okay, so we're kind of closing, so we can go back to our question from the audience about something that we've done that we're proud of. And I'd also like to add, when you're answering that, like if you could just talk about, you know, something you're excited for in the future. It could be in a post-pandemic world. It could just be like after this season finale of General College, you know. So like, so what you're, something you're proud that you've done, and something you're looking forward to. Whoever wants to start can go.
I can start this time. So one of the latest things that I've done that I'm pretty proud of, even though it's been months since I've done it, I actually made an ad campaign it was for a class. I did it on Savage X Fenty, and she at the time was like advertising Megan Thee Stallion for modeling. She was like an ambassador for December, and so I made a whole campaign for her. I wrote an essay, I made posters, and for me, it was like we had to start from scratch as if like we were the ones running whatever organization we chose. And so I really enjoyed making that because for me, it felt like it was something I was interested in. It gave me a lot of like leeway as to like how I wanted to frame it. And even though we're going off of ideas that were already existing for like the already existing campaign with her, I felt like I could make my own spins off things too, because the whole point was just to like basically brand her and give her good PR. So that was something that I really enjoyed doing. In the near future, I'm just looking forward to having more opportunities to have more hands-on experience with like possibly screenwriting. It's been a while since I've done it, but again, also me hopping from creative outlets, I want to be able to dip my toes in again with that because I really enjoyed it. And during the summer, I know that maybe not for screenwriting, but I'll be able to do some like creative pieces just for myself, and also I'll be able to work on making creative posters again for my internship.
Awesome. Let's see, I can go. So something that I've done recently that I was proud of. Um, so for people who have like seen me do like little things on STV, especially, let's see, my sophomore year, so I guess last year. Um, I was not really an actor, I guess you could say. I was more like a extra, come in, help out the group if needed. But I really do enjoy I watch a lot of like animated stuff and like cartoons, so I enjoy like voice acting. So something I did this past semester is I started auditioning for like different projects and stuff. So just learning how to, I guess, like get some acting chops there, I guess, and learning how to work with other people on different projects was definitely something that was really cool, and I'm like proud that I just went ahead and did it because I really enjoy it. But as far as something that I'm looking forward to, um, so I have like, I wish you guys could see my Google Keep. I literally have like 5 different tabs of like probably 100 different ideas that I want to like write a script for. So over the summer, I'll have a lot more time to actually like write out these scripts and like produce some videos and stuff on YouTube. So that'll be really fun. And E3, really looking forward to E3 this year.
I will go I'm going to go a really unconventional route here. Bear with me. But kind of talk my background. I love basketball. It's kind of one of my just really near and dear passions to my
Mhm.
heart. And this past like year, I've just been really training a lot, playing a lot, because I really want to like I want to play for like not a, like an organized team next year. Hopefully we have one. But I think like as an artist, I never really thought like sports could be art. I thought it was like two really different like entities and everything. But as I've been playing basketball, I think like not to go like really deep into like basketball terminology, but like every kind of like crossover in and out move, layup or drive to like get to the basket as a player is your own like iteration of art because you're really like trying to get through a defender to get a bucket or get a basket.
Mhm.
But I think you're trying to do it like in the most creative yet efficient way possible because basketball it's a beautiful game. It's a game about teamwork, but it's also a game about just playing like good basketball. That's why crowds and fans flock to see it. So I think like I really realized that connection between like basketball and art, and like once you like find your own art and find that style as a basketball player, it really makes a huge difference because like, how to get to the basket, you really how to like get to your spots easier. And so like I'm a LeBron James stan, and it's like I
Ooh.
really see like how he like kind of makes art with the game of basketball, even though like
Mhm.
people may not see sports as art, but I mean I think it takes a lot of creativity to really get past the defender and like like work on your bag and work on your moves. And so like that's a different form of art that I'm proud of just because I've really just like gotten a lot better and just really dedicated myself even more to it. But I'd say in the upcoming year, I'm really excited to branch out more into art and just kind of see like my relationship, especially like in relation to other people's artistic talents. I've really been just kind of isolated in the music space these past few months. Not that I've like absolutely loved it, because like music is everything, but I really just want to delve more into visual art, into more like performance art, more like more other just like genres of art, and really kind of like a lot of you guys were saying, like bounce around different like artistic projects, because like I feel like that's like the juice is flowing even more. So I'm just like really excited to like do that and also interact with like-minded people and really experience and support their art while doing so.
Awesome. Let me ask you a quick question though. Are you looking forward to Space Jam 2?
Of course, I am looking forward to Space Jam 2.
That was the right
So
answer. That
it
was
is
the right
going
answer.
to be just an absolute celebration.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, I think all those are great. That sounds awesome. I for me, I think I'm proud that I've written a lot this like recently, like and in the pandemic generally. I think I've always had like a bit of trouble like getting stuff down on a page, but I've really enjoyed like writing and being more creative in that way. Even though some other ways I may not have been able to as much. And when it comes to what I'm excited about, I'm excited to go back and get my hands on like cameras and stuff again and UNC's equipment, and start to learn how to use those and learn more about visual storytelling. And I'm also excited about, I want to get more involved with the theater community at UNC. I did a lot of theater before I came to UNC and I just kind of stopped. And I really want to try and like get back involved in that community. So I'm excited about that this fall. Mhm.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you all for being here and talking with us. It's been a joy once again to see all your lovely faces.
I'm emo. I didn't know this was the season finale, so that was just kind of a bombshell.
I
That was
know.
dropped.
It's
You know?
sad. Maybe we'll do
Mhm.
some bonus episodes over the summer if people have time. But
Yeah.
yep,
I'm down for
tis
it.
the official close.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any last comments before we end the episode today?
Make sure to check out the rest of the show's content on YouTube.
Yeah.
On this YouTube channel, in fact.
Yeah.
Got some great stuff being produced over here. And
Mhm.
hopefully it get even better with everybody coming back to campus next year.
Yeah, and talking about like innovative creativity, like there's been a lot of really cool stuff that's happened on STV this semester, like within these restrictions. So definitely check
Absolutely.
it out if you haven't already. There's a lot of cool stuff there. So
Mhm.
subscribe to the channel and check them out. But otherwise, have a lovely end of the semester and hopefully soon end or close to the pandemic. Maybe that's speaking a bit too soon, but
Fingers crossed.
seeing the future, it's nice. It looks a little brighter and open. Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye.
Peace
Thank you guys for
out.
watching.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.